Ciao. This is Esther.
We made it. This is Alfredo sauce.
Of You, Me, and Sicily. And today we're going to be talking about one of our favorite subjects, which is foods. And of course, you can't come to Sicily without experiencing the foods of Sicily, right? One of the reasons that I love the foods of Sicily so much is because all the conquerors left their marks in the cuisine of Sicily, right, Alfred?
Well, plus there's a McDonald's here too, I think.
That helps too, right? Ciao, everyone. Where are you watching from? Leave us a comment and also let us know some of your favorite foods from Sicily.
You know, the food, this whole topic is subject to multiple discussion. We've been going around with it all week long because obviously the food in Sicily is tremendous. Obviously the food in Italy is tremendous. And to limit our conversation to like one live cast is like ridiculous, but we're going to give it the old college try right now, right?
So, you know, one of the reasons, as I mentioned, that I love the foods of Sicily is because people left their mark. So even going back to the Greeks, you know, the first settlers, they brought the olives and all types of grapes as well. And then the Arabs, I think, had one of the most tremendous impacts.
Well, they brought the olives. Didn't they bring the olives here?
The Greeks did, but the
Greeks did, okay.
The Arabs brought the sugar cane. They brought things like raisins, the almonds. You know, they really left their mark. And then we had the French and the Spanish. So to me, so many great flavors.
So basically it's an amalgam of the different flavors that have kind of like steeped and mulled and so forth over the centuries, right?
From the antipasto to the sweets, you know, it's a very different, in my opinion. The foods of Sicily are far different than the foods in Italy.
There's a huge difference between the foods of Sicily and the foods in the north, without a doubt.
But we're not going to touch that.
No, but I think one of the reasons is because of the local produce that's grown here.
Yeah,
I think that has a, you know, the fruits and vegetables and even the livestock that's grown, the fish that comes out of the sea. I mean, it kind of goes all together and creates something that's very special. Okay, let's get started. I'm getting hungry here.
All right. So let's start with the appetizers, the antipasto. And I'm going to start, what are one of your things? I'm going to try and bring up a picture of one of my favorites, and that is the caponata. And the caponata actually was one of the first cooking. Do I have it? Maybe I don't. I don't have the caponata on here, but I will share a caponata cooking demo that we did with my friend Vanessa, remember? And the thing that I love about the caponata is that agrodolce. You got the raisins, the pine nuts, a little bit of vinegar. You got, of course, the main ingredient, the melanzane, the eggplant, and it's this very particular food that you have here, antipasto.
Literally every province in Sicily has their own version of the melanzane. They really do, okay?
The caponata.
Oh, the caponata, excuse me. I prefer the ancient Sicilian one that my grandmother used to make.
Yeah, how did she make it?
It was a very sweet one, and we called it caballadina. Caballadina is what we called it back home. And it was made primarily with chicken meals, okay? As I remember, they were delicious. It was very sweet. There was a lot of celery and pine nuts and raisins and things like that, but it didn't have any eggplant in it.
It didn't have eggplant.
It didn't have eggplant in it. No.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
very
the
good
main ingredient.
All right,
here.
so that right.
But and the interesting too with the caponata is that, you know, some places they even make it with the fish, like the swordfish. They'll have little chunks of swordfish or little chunks of meat. But that whole raisin and pine nut, I just love that mixture.
You know, the whole idea of having an appetizer, it depends on where you are. I mean, in my opinion, when you go to restaurants, if you're close to the sea, literally the whole left side of the menu is full of fish appetizers. Am I correct in saying that? They have this thing called ricci, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Sea urchins, right? They have all types of shrimp, gambarini rosso,
calamari,
fried calamari, and not so fried calamari. They have the one that you like. What's that?
Wait a
Insalata di...
Oh, okay.
What's that called? Insalata di...
Pulpi.
Di pulpi. That's also an appetizer. course, for me, I'm more of a guy that likes things like cheese.
Wait a sec. Before you do that, how about my favorite here? Hello.
What, mussels?
Mussels.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, my mouth is salivating.
Well, if you look
just
at that
watching
picture
that.
closely, that has the tomato base, but you also have one with the white wine base, right?
Right.
There's two of them. You know, in the States, we used to just put beer.
Really?
Yeah. We used to cook them with beer, yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
So, I mean, the variety of cheeses for appetizers is just killer. The variety of salami, prosciutto, cabocolo.
How about olives?
Olive, black. They have the black ones. They have the green ones. They have the Greek ones. They have olives that'll just make you go crazy. So that's another appetizer. But you know what the kids like?
What?
You know what the kids like? French fries.
Yeah,
I'm
French
astounded to see how many kids, when they go to a nice restaurant and the parents are chowing down on stuff,
they're having French fries.
they're having French fries, Esther. So that's it. It really depends on what you like.
All right, should we say hello to some people? Joyce Faraci. Hi, everyone. Waiting.
Joyce.
First time here. I'm in Australia. Oh, my God. It's 1:42 a.m. Holy moly. Okay. Ciao, Joe and Sue. Let's see. Joe, let's see. Joe Assioni. It is, what's the weather like? Hello from New York. Good morning from North Carolina. Transbreak from Brooklyn, New York.
Is that Joya?
Jaya Russo. Ciao.
Nice to meet you, Jaya.
Let's see. Who else do we have on here? She's got her first appointment. Philadelphia Italian Consulate.
Good luck over there. Make sure all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted in Philly. That's for sure.
Maria is here.
Ciao, Maria.
I know Vivian is here as well. Helen is here from Ontario,
Good morning,
Canada.
Helen.
Buongiorno, B and Dawn. So
ciao,
nice
B.
to see
Ciao,
them.
Dawn. Hope things are okay.
Jim
Wow, there's a lot
Ingram
of
is
people
here.
here today. But anyways, let's eat, Esther. Let's get back to that later on. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
I'm hungry.
Wait a
let's
second.
Go.
What's Mama Cooking is here
from
her
God. Yeah.
The cooking channel.
Okay, so little appetizers. My favorite is the orange and onion appetizer.
With the fennel?
Well, yeah, fresh onion, cut it up.
Why don't you get the recipe for that?
Some people put wild fennel in it. I'm a purist. I just like the orange. And a half of a white onion, a sweet onion chopped up. And I drizzle on some EVOO, that's extra virgin olive oil. And I use the balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper. That's it. Now, other people augment it with parsley or fennel. Okay, but I just like the simple one because it tastes good. And that is a very versatile dish. It could either be before you eat or after you eat.
Yeah.
So I guess
That's a good digestive, yeah.
It's a good digestive.
Elena says ricotta. How can we forget ricotta?
That's a prime cooking ingredient.
No, cookie. They also have it for a little bit of side dish. You remember how delicious
Only
it is.
Crispellas.
Warm, ricotta warm. Christine Leone is here.
Chicha
is here with the Olive Tree Memorial. Let's see, who else is over here? Alicia says, the swordfish, I never knew it would be so good until we went to Sicily. So should we move on to the primo? Because
we were just talking about that. We were talking about the swordfish a little bit earlier.
My favorite. Let's just say one of my favorites, right?
Well, that's not, which picture are we putting up there?
Look at that.
All right, now, if you look at this swordfish, you can see the lines on it, okay? Obviously, this swordfish was done on a grill, as you can see. It's also very thin. It's not like an inch thick. Yeah, it's not like an inch thick as you have it in the States. It's a very thin piece, and it's cooked primarily with garlic, olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper.
Well, they grill it first, and then they put the olive oil. And this one has some balsamic glaze.
Yeah, on the side, it has the balsamic glaze. That's one way to cook it. Now, somebody said that they roll it, and I was telling this to Esther. I said, typically they roll
in Voltini di
Pesce Spada. They roll it in the wintertime because the grill's aren't on. But it could also be cooked. Obviously, it could be cooked indoors. Okay, so Pesce Spada is. You know how much it costs? listen to this. A kilo, that's 2.2 pounds, is 19 euro. About $20 for 2.2 pounds. That's about $10 US roughly a pound, which is about half the going rate.
Now, let me go back to the involtini
Yeah.
because we did an entire cooking episode. And once you guys are done here, I'm going to put links to all the cooking demos that we did in the description box of this video.
Yeah.
So what we did, and she made it very clear, and we did this cooking demo just outside of Catania, is she said that involtini di pesce spada is a very typical Sicilian meal in the Catania area. Of course, because swordfish is so prevalent. And the way we did it was she had the fresh swordfish and then we breaded it. And we had little small pieces and then we put 1 or 2 raisins and pine nuts. Again, the idea of raisins and pine nuts. Then we rolled it up, put a stick through it, and then we baked it.
Let me just say this, okay? Typically, pesce spada, swordfish, that's a second. But for purposes of today, we're not going to have a first and a second and try to distinguish them because plenty of times, Esther and I, when we go out to eat, we only order one thing. We don't order 2 things. Or maybe we'll split an appetizer, say, for example, a kotsi. We like kotsi, so we usually will share a kotsi, and then we'll get whatever we want. And pesce spada is one of the killer fishes here. What's another good fish dish that you could think about?
Well, I love the orata, which is sea bass and sea bream, and they, for each person gets 1 piece. And typically, the way I make it is
sea bream,
sea bass or sea bream. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
The spigola or the orata, and what I do usually is I stuff it with capers and olives. My gosh, we forgot the capers. The capers are a big ingredient also in the caponata.
Now, this is a whitefish, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so I put capers and garlic. But some people, bake it with a tomato type sauce.
But what about the head? Do you take the head off or leave it on?
No, you cook it all together, right?
Yeah.
And then you cook it in the oven and it becomes crisp enough that it comes right off. Very. I mean, it's good when you lift up the bone and the meat comes right off. It's a very flaky fish. Yeah. And what I do is also put olive oil and squeeze it with lemon juice.
You could buy
everything.
That's a bargain fish. I'm telling you right now because it's plentiful in the waters over here. You could buy. How much does it cost for that? A good say a pound.
A pound. It's $6.90 a kilo.
$6.90. So that's $4 a pound. Hello.
Everyone wants to know what you're drinking.
Today I'm drinking a fine. This is getting to be like a little thing over here. I'm drinking a fine Charles Martel cognac today. With my Cavassier glass, so I'm a trader. So I have a Cavassier glass with Charles Martel cognac.
Michael Glaze is here.
Do you know that only cognac that can be made in France? Can't be made in Italy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cognac is fine. It has to come from the cognac region of France. But anyways, let's get back.
Warren says, "Ciao from the depressingly cold Ottawa, Ontario. Love your content and the effort you two put into exposing the beauty of Sicily.
Yeah.
Stay safe, healthy, and have some fresh mozzarella de bufala for me."
You know, Warren, this week it's been particularly a little bit tumultuous here in town, in Sicily, or Italy, actually, because the Prime Minister, Conte, resigned, and I think that was the 67th government that failed this week, right?
Yeah.
67
it's almost like a government.
70 years,
right?
67 governments. And now, who's the fellow?
Mario Draghi.
Draghi is this guy Mario Draghi. Was he the president
of the European
Banking
Commission?
He was the president of the EU Bank, so he's a technocrat.
Yeah.
See, the problem is, and let me put it.
Wait, are we talking government or are we talking?
No, I just want to throw it in here because this is between courses, so to speak. Okay?
Oh, okay. Let's talk a little politics between courses.
The EU gave tens of billions of dollars to Italy and to Sicily for the COVID stuff. Okay, for the last 10 months, the corrupt parliament, okay, has been fighting over how to spend the money.
Surprise, surprise.
So as a result, 300,000 or 400,000 businesses have gone out of business. People are out of their mind. Yeah. Nobody gets a COVID relief check here, okay? When you're out of work, you'll get €700 a month. I don't care if you have a family of, I don't care if you're the old lady who lived in the shoe and had so many kids you didn't know what to do, you're getting a single check.
But in any case, Giuseppe Conte, the prime minister,
Yep,
who was
he's out.
But he had very high approval ratings. He did a pretty good job, according to most, during this coronavirus. But what happened was that he couldn't get the vote of confidence in both houses of the parliament, and you need both houses of the parliament in order to get anything. So wait, let me finish.
Yeah, okay.
So what happened was that he resigned. So it left Sergio Mattarella, who's the president of Italy, who, by the way, is Sicilian, left him with a choice. Do we do snap elections, or do we put a technocrat, someone who will just do the job and not be political? And he chose Draghi. But there were rumors that he was going to do that anyway.
You know something? People in Sicily are breathing a sigh of relief because they didn't like, I don't care what she said, they didn't like Conte. No. Why? Because they're not getting any money. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they had a big fight about where to go, where to allocate.
Crazy.
So the bulk of that fight of why he resigned was because they were fighting about where the money should go.
It never got to people yet.
Yeah.
I
think.
All right, let's continue on.
All right, wait. The squaddler, Angela and Shannon here. Angela is a Sicilian from Montreal. Parents came from Cattolica Ircea in Agrigento. Lots of traditional Sicilian cooking in a house just visited last year. If I'm missing anyone, sorry about that. If you want to get your question up there higher.
Okay, my turn.
Wait a sec. If you want to get your question up there, drop us a super chat, which, by the way, also supports this channel. There was a question here. Hold it. How does the dialect between the Italian regions differ? What makes Sicily so unique? You go first on this one.
The Sicilian dialect is not based on the Tuscan dialect. Most of Italy is based on dialect from Tuscany. We were actually in competition with that to see which it was going to be. Sicilian dialect is a wonderful language, and it's not that difficult to learn how to speak. It's pretty much a live for today dialect. For example, there's no future tense in Sicilian. Mm-hmm. But there are about 5 million people worldwide that speak Sicilian dialect. And because I'm a Sicilian, that's what I was brought up with. I have a tough time when the Italian folks speak fast. I have a tough time understanding them. I have to slow them down. I could read and write okay, but when they what
now,
are they saying?
Did you know, Alfred, that Sicilian is the first language to come out of Latin? And we learned that from Gaetano Cipolla. It was the first, and it's actually considered a language. And what saddens me here in Sicily is that they don't study in schools. The kids don't study, but they do speak it in the homes. They do speak it in the homes. Every day, old-timers speak it.
Most business, by the way, on the street, most street business is conducted in Sicilian. All right, I'm hungry.
Next to, wait a sec, St. Louis, Missouri, hoping to come to Sicily. We hope so too. Oh, the Georgian chat is a new fan.
Chant.
Nice to see you.
I love Gregorian chant. I'm telling you right now, I have a CD of the Gregorian chant, and I listen to it all the time.
Hey, Andrew Parisi is having breakfast at Savastano's in
Savastano's restaurant was in Lawrence, I believe, or the cousins had it in. It was a great little family restaurant, known for you know what they were known for? Their Italian wedding soup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is indigenous only to Massachusetts, I think. There's no such
Here's
thing
another food that they don't have
There's
here.
no such thing in Sicily called Italian wedding soup. You can't get it over here. But the Savastano people are righteous people. They're good people. I know a lot of them, and I'm glad you're over there. And I heard he's doing a good business too. All right, can we now talk about
what are we looking at here?
Look at that. No, I didn't spill ink on that. That's what you call pasta con nero di seppia. That's the black ink of the squid, of the cuttlefish, right there. It's a little sack that the cuttlefish uses as a protective device that he squirts at people. So what you do is you make your regular tomato sauce. And I'll talk about the tomato sauce in just a second. You make your regular tomato sauce, and then you put the cuttlefish in there. You don't want to cook them too long, or else they'll taste like sponge, but you cook them, and then you put the sauce in there, and then what happens is your whole mouth gets black, your tongue gets black, you look like a chow chow. But that happens to be one of the famous dishes here in Sicily, but I would say the most famous dish is a pasta dish called pasta alla norma, which is really from this side of the island, which is a pasta sauce with on top of it is grilled eggplant or baked eggplant or fried eggplant. And on top of it is ricotta salata cheese. All right. And by the way, getting back to the Nero di Seppia, my good friend Carmen DeMarca, we went out to eat with him. His family actually put ricotta salata even on the, remember that? On the Nero di Seppia. So that's a great one. On the West Coast, you've got pasta con sarde, which is a very great pasta. That's pasta with sardines, made a very particular way. It's terrific.
With the breadcrumbs.
With the breadcrumbs, right. And speaking of the breadcrumbs, over here on the East Coast, you've got pasta, in Sicilian we say pasta con mudica, pasta with breadcrumbs and anchovies. Other people call it a puttanesca sauce, and they may put out something else in it. But those are all the ways. And what they do not have here is pasta with meatballs. No pasta with meatballs. They don't have pasta. Matter of fact, they don't.
They do have meatballs, but not pasta.
Yeah, I know. You can't buy pasta with meatballs. They're like, look at you, like, oh, you're American. Where you from? New York? Yeah. No, I'm serious, right? Oh, you want gravy? You want gravy? Come over here. Henry, this guy wants gravy. That's what they would do if you said gravy over here in Sicily. No offense. But getting back to the sauce.
It's called sugu.
Oh, the sugu, what sugu is that's a meat sauce.
Yeah. You
take your whether it's hamburger or pork or chicken or anything you want, spare ribs, yummy, yum, 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 and you let it sit for 3 or 4 hours as you slow cook it, so to speak, over the.
We actually have an entire episode on that. By the way, you know what they call sauce here, or gravy, as they call it in New York?
Salsa.
At first, I was like, "What salsa? Mexican salsa?" No.
You know what makes a good sauce? And I don't care what good sauce it is.
Time.
Nope, it's the estrato di pomodoro, the tomato paste that you put in. If you're not using tomato paste, and they have great quality tomato paste, they have great quality Sicilian tomato paste. That was our best-selling item when we had all things Sicilian.
Yeah,
right? People used to come in and buy. They used to buy 6 at a time, and it's not cheap because there's a lot of tomatoes in there. But you need to buttress your tomatoes with some good paste. Watch out for the tomatoes too. The big ripoff that's been happening for the last several years is the so-called San Marzano tomatoes.
Yeah.
When in fact 85% of all or 80% or 85% of all the tomatoes in the United States that say San Marzano are in fact frauds. Okay. You can't have a San Marzano tomato by a company that's made in, for example, California. Because look real close, it'll say San Marzano style tomato. And also watch out for oils, olive oils, okay? Last year, you remember the big...
A few years ago,
some of these big companies. Olives, you have to understand they're a commodity. That means that every day you can tell how much a bushel of olives is going to cost, okay? It's physically impossible, psychologically impossible, spiritually impossible, morally impossible to buy a liter of oil for $2.99 or $3.99. If you're going to pick up that bottle of oil for $3.99, it can only be adulterated something or other with food color, or it could be very old oil. Okay. Right now in Sicily, the going rate is roughly €7 for a liter locally. Okay. The real good oil is probably €9 a liter. So that's between $8 and $10 and $11 a bottle.
We get ours in a plastic.
Yeah, we get ours in a big plastic bottle. Yeah. And what
about €18?
Well, that's a 2-liter bottle. That's why. So that's €9. We're paying €9. So and what we do is we get a good local one, and then we get a good quality supermarket one. Say, for example, like Manfredi Barbera. That's a good one, and Sons in Palermo. And we'll marry them both together. So we end up having kind of like a blended oil that's terrific, in my opinion.
Okay,
right,
let me keep going. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Christine says I make anelletti al forno.
Anelletti, yeah, those are terrific. I remember having it in Mondello when I visited.
Some people here I saw are from Piana del Albanese. Believe it or not, we did an entire episode. You'll find that on our channel. Carmen T says, we don't say salsa, a little different. We say salsa. My family is from Castelcremini. And Mice, hello.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
You're looking beautiful today. Grazie.
Wait a minute, Ed. What about me?
Look at that. Oops, I guess Al is right.
All right.
Sicilian guys always flirt because Alfred said something a few weeks ago.
That's hilarious.
And
Gigi said something about the forno. I want to get back to that.
Wait a sec. Pasta with olive oil and garlic.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh, there's something about the simplicity of that, right?
Yep.
Ciao, Nancy DeMarco is here. Wow, we've got Vivian is here. So
Vivian.
What about
Vivian.
you and Lamb?
Agnello. Okay. Can I talk about it?
Wait a second.
Right. Well, you said, what am I supposed to say? Nothing? Okay, I won't say anything. What?
Tell them the roasted agnello. By the way, folks, I'm working on a little episode with some of our favorite restaurants. And I just went back and saw one where you're trying the agnello and your mouth is salivating as you bite into that grilled agnello.
Before I talk about agnello, I want to talk what Chrissy Leone says, pasta al forno, which is, we call it in the States, baked macaroni.
Yeah.
All right? Which is like a staple here. Everybody even has it for lunch. You could buy it a $3 or $4 tin for takeaway, and inside of it is your a short pasta, usually a penne, and with the sauce, peas, and either chicken or a little bit of beef. Boom! It's a great meal. It's like an Italian version of McDonald's. But you want to talk about lamb? Okay, lamb here is completely different than in the United States of America. Here you have mountain lamb, so to speak, and they cut it differently. Okay, it's almost impossible to find the little things like this, with the little bones on them, like you see, in good restaurants in the States. It's really not done that way. They just chop them up and they grill those babies, and you eat those babies, and as you eat those babies, you're going to heaven. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing like on a summer night, a glass of red wine, some beef, some lamb, and a beautiful Hungarian babe. It just doesn't get any better than that. I'm telling you right now. So lamb is top shelf.
Stephen Muscana, greetings from Rhode Island. Love your channel.
Thank you.
Our family comes from the Messina province, the town of Mary, also Patti. We've been to Patti, actually.
Patti, yeah.
Have you? Yes, we have.
His mother was born in Sicily.
Oh, good point. Christine Leone says, love the pistachios from Bronte's. Let me tell you guys. So I said something about the Arabs bringing, some of the nuts and pine nuts and the whole idea of raisins. They also brought the pistachios, right? They also brought the almonds. And on this side of the island, especially because we got Bronte over here, which is known for its pistachios, they put pistachios on everything. They put it on top of pizza, on top of pasta, in the arancini, which we haven't talked about yet. But they usually just grate it and toast it a little bit and put it on top of things. What else do they put? They put it at the edges of the cannoli. They use it to decorate things. They use it to flavor. Pistachio is huge, and so is almond.
She's forgetting the most important thing.
What?
Gelato. Granita. Right? Come on. I mean, she's literally used for everything. And Chris Leone, who's on now, Christine Leone took a company with us, All Things Sicilian, to the New York Fancy Food Show and won the gold medal. Pistachio nut cream that Chris Leone brought from fruition here to there, and I believe she has the statues. They gave us a little Oscar stat. We beat Smuckers, we beat Welch's, little tiny All Things Sicilian, and Chicha. I call it Chicha because she's a little cherub. Is unbelievable, and you're right. But I'm telling you right now, I used to mix the pistachio nut cream in with cream cheese and put it on bagels. It was great.
And they have the pesto too. That's delicious.
Pestos, yeah.
Wait a sec. So, good reminder. The Squeedler says hit the like. By the way, if you are liking this video, make sure at the end, hit the like, leave us a comment. And if you want to be notified next time I put up another episode, hit the notification button. Now, let me go back to the pistachio. I wasn't done, because there's also the almonds. The almonds are used in some pasta dishes, right? They put them not only on cookies, on
not
baked
as popular.
goods. That's on the other side of the island.
Yeah, not
in
as
the
popular.
Trapani, Palermo area is very, very popular.
What is popular is the granita, the almond granita.
Yeah,
and the desserts. Side. Yeah, those are really popular.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, in case you guys don't know what a granita is, we should mention what it is. It's not Italian ice. It's not slushed ice. It's granita, and it's made with the local flavors. So very popular pistachio, almond, lemon is the most popular. Chocolate, mulberry, which is my favorite, melon, figs.
Lemon?
Yeah, it's the most popular. But there's the Bam Bar up in Taormina, and they have it year round, because usually this is a type of food that you have here in the spring and summer. And what's really interesting about the granita is it's not just, a snack. People have it for breakfast.
It's a breakfast thing. You put it in a brioche.
Let me finish. People have it as an event. Hey, let's meet up for not a coffee, but let's meet up for a granita. So it's an event here to have a granita.
The late Nunzio D'Amaco.
Oh, and hazelnut and pane. That's right.
Nunzio D'Amaco, my dear friend who passed away, he used to call it an Italian ice cream sandwich with the gelato. He used to like it with the gelato. God rest his soul. Condarelli. Jimmy loves that place, huh?
Yeah.
Every week he says Condarelli.
Well, we sent him some about 2 years ago.
Okay, let's continue on.
Arancini. We didn't talk about arancini.
Arancini. Which is it?
Arancini or arancino?
Which is it?
We did a cooking demo on it, right?
Well, what
I'll
is
leave
it?
you a link in the description.
What's the difference between
it's
an
a rice
arancini and an arancino?
Well, we call it on this side of the island arancini. Over there on the other side in Palermo and Trapani, it's an arancino.
Wait a minute. You just said them the same thing. Arancina. Yeah.
Arancini.
A singular. How do you say singular? Arancino is singular, right?
Yeah.
Arancini is plural, right? Okay. And on the other side, it's arancina. And how are they shaped?
Round, or like Etna over here. They're
basically pyramid.
So what's your favorite? So they have them with the meat and peas. They have them with the burro.
Con ragu.
Con ragu. They have the burro with the butter, spinach, the spinach. And recently, people have been getting so fancy with it. They have fish. They have the nero de sepia. They even have a pistachio one, believe it or not.
Honestly, why take a good thing and try to make it better?
I agree.
I mean, honestly, you see some of these chefs in these restaurants, and they'll take something like pasta with oil and garlic, and then the next time they like to put a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and flap their wings. And then it's crappy. Jeez.
I agree.
Simplicity.
Ciao, Jody from California. Manuel says great fava beans and tripe sauce last night. Oh, you know what? I love fava beans.
Can I tell you about tripe?
Wait a second.
Cornetti.
Can I just say something about, you had mentioned, let me see, Sarah Baxter. We are living in Marina de Ragusa. We think we've mastered the perfect tiramisu. Don't just love fresh. Yeah, tiramisu is not a typical Sicilian dessert. I want to go back to something that you said that is so true and really hits home for me. The simplicity of the foods here. Even though the dishes like the caponata, with the rolled meats, the rolled involtini pesce spada, and even the baccalà messinese has some flavors of the raisins, the capers, the pine nuts, and it's that agrodolce. The beauty of the foods in Sicily for me is the simplicity. You take a beautiful piece of fish that's caught right out here, you put it on the grill, pour a little olive oil, squeeze a little lemon, sprinkle a little parsley, and you're all set.
The big thing is
simplicity.
You know what the big thing is too, especially for a lot of the prepared foods, because over here you can buy prepared foods like you can in the States.
Yeah.
Here is that the poison that they put in for preservatives in the United States on foods.
Yeah.
It irritates the heck out of me when I go to a market and I look at those tasteless tomatoes that they try to palm off as tomatoes in the markets, or fruit that has no taste, it tastes like cardboard, and come here, and everything is different here because by the season, it's all seasonal. They change stuff. Right now, there's just about ready to be a change. I've enjoyed, as I said, with that orange salad I was telling you about.
With the blood orange.
Blood oranges.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe
It's
another
great.
month. Maybe
Yeah, we
something
have about
like that.
another month. And before that, we had chestnuts. We had chestnuts
All gone
October,
now.
November, December. They were delicious. And we had all different stuff like that.
I
feel guilty telling you people about that because I feel that God said to me, Alfredo, look it, you weren't so good the whole of your life, so I'm going to give you a few years over here with a beautiful Hungarian chick in Sicily. Maybe I could save your soul. And all I'm going to say to you is, Lord, I seen the light. I seen the light.
It's Jean that says, how's your grill going? I'll show you that grill because now it's a placeholder because someone hasn't grilled in a long, long time. Okay, can we go back?
My grill?
Huh.
Stop it.
All right, listen.
It's a pain in the, it's, can I say pain in the ass?
No,
I can
you
say
can't.
pain in the ass. It's my program.
It's
a pain in the butt to start my grill. It's one of those old-fashioned ones where you have to put everything in and then you have to get a fan and go like this. And then to clean it.
We're waiting for you, Jim, to come back so we can make it.
Jimmy, I miss Jim. Jim, are you ever going to come back?
Everyone's trying out.
All
right, so let's go back to some of your favorites. We didn't talk about bacala, which we talked about so much during Christmas. Stocco and bacala. And again, it uses those ingredients, right? It uses the capers, the raisins, the pine nuts. It makes a very nice meal that I can't believe they still have some available.
I want to have stocco this week. Here it is. It's almost the middle of February, right? In the United States, it disappears right after Christmas. Here it is, February, and I'm gonna sweet talk Esther, of course, to make like a big pot so I can freeze some of it because there is nothing better than stocco.
You know what else is going to be out of season pretty soon is the roasted artichokes. The artichokes, by the way, again, brought here by the Arabs, and they make them very differently here. Sure, everyone at home makes them with the breadcrumbs and so forth, but very rarely do they sell those on the stores. But on weekends, you can, and even on weekdays, you can see the local fruit and vegetable places roasting outside. And what they do is that they have they take the artichoke, right, and separate them and then stuff them with parsley and garlic and cook it over
slow roast it. They
roast it over coal. So underneath it's nice and black. Inside it's very juicy because they keep it watered with lemon and olive oil. Simply the best.
For me, I'm one of those classical guys that like it stuffed with the breadcrumbs. Although I haven't had them, honestly, the last time I had some was when my cousin Josephine came over here and made some for me. Because when I go buy them like that, I don't like the way they make them over here in the takeaway places at all. And that's another good thing, kid. Pick your shots. Okay, some of these places have great stuff. So when you come here and you find a place that has great stuff,
stick with it.
Stick with it, because somebody else down the street, for a couple of cents or a few euro less, may be a better price, a lesser price, won't be any good. And there's one more thing I need to talk about.
Okay, hold on. We still have time. Pat Clemens says, love these videos. Simple Italian recipes are the best. Yeah. I have a cookbook called Immigrant Italian, all the pictures for some ingredients.
Oh, that's a good book.
Pat, I mentioned before, too, that I'm going to post some recipes that we did in the past down at the description of this video, because we've done lots of them. Hi from Las Vegas. I love all food Italian. Sal Fiorentino.
Hi, Sal.
Ciao, John. Sparacelli's in season right now. Do you ever collect wild vegetables? We don't, but certainly.
What's the one that we eat that's a substitute for broccoli rabe?
What, chimichurri. It's, it's so interesting here. That's really funny that you should ask about collecting wild vegetables. We drive around and we see people all the time, stop the car and picking wild vegetables. Because right now the greens are all over the place, and there's all types of greens. You go into one of these vendors, and there's 15 different types of greens. Just green, not just
the
spinach.
cauliflower are that big.
Well, that's the purple cauliflower.
And they're purple, and they're delicious. And the broccoli is huge, huge, to quote Bertie Sanders, huge, and is delicious. And just about, what about the kagutsu, those
Andrew
big long?
Parisi wants to know if you eat tripe.
Let me tell you about tripe. Can I tell you about tripe?
Yes.
Tripe actually is not a Sicilian thing. That actually came from Rome. Did you know that? Yep. On Thursdays in Rome is where they slaughtered the cattle, or the meat, the cows, right? And Thursday they sold them. So people usually ate them in Rome Friday and Saturday, right? Especially Saturday. The rule was in Rome, never eat tripe on Monday because that's the leftover. Now, the Neapolitans picked it up. Okay? Neapolitans love tripa. They call it tripa. And here in the West Coast, in Palermo, because they eat every single solitary part of a beef animal, okay? They'll have the tripe. Here, you don't see it that much in the restaurants, although if you ask the cook, he'll kind of like smile, like tripa, huh? Come back tomorrow, and he'll have some for you. But typically, it's not on the menu on the East Coast. On the West Coast, as I said, in province of Palermo, see, it is there, but not so much here.
The squadler says we've got fava growing in our yard here in San Francisco. Looking forward to fresh. I got to tell you my story of fava with Alfred. My first year that I came here, June of 2014, made me.
Boy,
I think it was like the first night. Yeah, it was the first night he made me a bowl of fava bean stew, and it was with the fava beans, the peas, onions, and a little bit of broth, and
a little bit of EVOO, a little
basil,
dash of red pepper flakes,
and basil, right?
Basil. Yep. That's one of the things that comes out in April and May, fava.
Yeah.
And believe me, the favas are, that big. They're not little puny things. They're not little black things either. These things are vibrant green, okay? So, again, what I'm saying to you is...
seasonal.
Yeah, but also health-wise, okay? Not for nothing, but I've lived a very tough life. And here it is. I'm in my 7th decade, and I'm actually getting healthier because of the stuff that I eat.
And you're losing weight. You're walking a lot.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Maria says pane panelle. Yes, that's a great food on the other side of the
they don't
island.
have that.
That's a street food.
That's a chickpea flour, and they fry it, and then they put it in some bread. That's a Palermo specialty, right?
Yes, very much a Palermo. What other, besides arancini, for street food, what are some of your favorites?
Street food. You know what's been getting
I can't believe you haven't talked to Crispelli.
Well, yeah, of course. Oh, wait a minute. I'll talk to Crispelli in just a second. You know what's getting very popular here?
What?
Is kebabs.
Strange, right?
All those, those big chunks of meat, Mideastern delicacy meat, either chicken or lamb.
That place down there has been there for a long time.
Killer. It's very good, okay? They call them shawarma sandwiches. They're terrific. That's very popular. With the kids, the hamburger. They love hamburgers now, okay? And they have pretty good hamburgers. 10 years ago, they were awful. But now they see how big the hamburgers are in the restaurants in the States, just like, looking at them. And there's one of our places we go is called Enjoy Pub.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Enjoy Pub gives you like a huge, delicious charbroiled cheeseburger.
All right, but we're not talking about burgers. Let's move on.
Crispelli.
Wait a sec. Rich, greetings from New Jersey. My family is from Kanikati. Kanikati is another town. We did another episode on Kanikati, so make sure you go through this channel to find it, or put in the search Kanikati, Yumi and Sicily.
Yeah.
Second cousin to Frank Cornelio. We love your show. It's been watching for years. Oh, okay.
That Frankie, you got to watch that, Frankie. That's what I'm going to say.
How long have you guys lived in Sicily, and whereabouts are you? Thanks, Sarah, for that question. So we live in Acicatena, right outside of Aciprezza. In fact, you know what? Why don't I show you guys where we live? And I have been here. That's our view. I have been here since 2014. And Alfred, you've been coming and going, what?
1997. 1997.
Almost 24 years. Bravo. Let's see.
We've been in this place for 8 years. I just signed another lease for another 8 years. I mean, that's kind of being optimistic that I'm going to live that long. But if I do, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to stay here as long as I possibly can.
Lawrence Christie says, love visiting my grandfather's town, Francoforte. Love making his favorite pasta con sale. We love
pasta
that
con sale is a good, righteous thing to eat. As are Crispellis. Can I talk about Crispellis?
Yes, hold on. Eggplant dishes in Sicily are great, cold or hot. I said to you guys, the caponata, one of my favorite. We're going to have to do an entire other episode on this topic because we haven't even touched upon pizza.
Pasquale is so correct. I was going to talk about pizza last.
Have you heard of pieces of bread and fresh tomato juice? Have you?
No.
Killer view.
No, I haven't, Joyce. Can I talk about pizza? Let me talk about something. I demand it. My legions of fans demand that I talk about it. Because I'm a pizza eater. There's nothing like a good pizza. But I'm a purist. Only margarita pizza. I don't put all this other crap on.
Remember that time you tried the pistachio pizza over in
I had to send it back.
You couldn't even eat it.
I almost choked. It was so dry. But pizza over here, they serve them in single serving sizes, which I would say about 12 inches in diameter. And the typical cost is, depending on where you go, is from €4.50. That's about $5. To about $7 or $8. I mean, $8. If you're going to pay $8 for a pizza, it better be terrific, okay? But it's all in the cheese. What kind of cheese do you like? Well, they have that famous 4-cheese one. It's terrific.
Mozzarella.
They have mozzarella. They have ricotta. They have all different types of local cheese over here. The sauce is not as plentiful as the tomato pies in the States or the regular ones that the Greeks make. And there's almost no oil on them. What's the big difference? Here, everything is almost all the restaurants at nighttime that are any good have wood-fired stoves, as opposed to those automatic things that go in the pizzerias that you see in the States. They don't have that. But there are some damn good pizzerias in the United States of America. I'll tell you that right now. That place in Connecticut, Hartford,
wait
Connecticut.
A sec. We're sticking with Sicily. Okay, Pasquale, I agree. Octopus, limone, and oil, salt, and pepper. That's mine.
What's that one?
For sure.
Oh, she loves that, yeah.
Joya Russo is asking if it's better to rent or buy a home. We did an entire chat. I think it was last week. No. We did an entire episode. Right, rent. But we did an entire episode where we go into detail about renting or buying. I think it was last week's chat or the week before. Listen, wait a sec. So let's keep going with the food.
Wait a minute. Let me answer her question.
Well, honey, we only have a few more minutes, so let's finish this, and we'll do an entire episode on that.
I want to go back to that though. That question.
But on another thing because we have to get going in a few minutes. I want to get
Elvis. This is Elvis is in the building today.
So back to your Crispelli, because that is, I mean, you should see this guy's face when we go out, maybe once a month.
No,
and they're
I haven't had it
making
for once a month. It's been like once in 2 months now.
It's been
I've been dreaming about them now.
Yeah. So
you've got Crispellis, which are fried things, and inside the fried things there's either anchovy or there's ricotta. And it's like a regional thing over here. And back home we have my dear friend and brother, the famous Peter Messina, carried the tradition, and he made them just like they make them over here in Via Grande. So when I go and get Crispellis, I always get 6 and 6. All right, that's 12 Crispellis. Not that I eat 12 Crispellis, but what I do is I pass them out. I'll eat a couple the next morning.
But you have to admit it's best when it's fresh.
Yeah, but you could all you have to do is put them in the toaster oven for 30 seconds. Won't they taste pretty good? Do not put them in a microwave, however. They'll taste like a hockey puck. They're terrible that way. But Crispellis are terrific. But I wanted to get back to pizza for one more second.
Oh, right. By all means.
They passed a new law in Rome yesterday that if anybody orders a margherita pizza con ananas, you know what that is? A pineapple pizza. They got to lock you up.
Deportable.
They got to deport you. They're going to deport you, by the way, on a rowboat. I'm warning you right now, do not have, what a kid.
But listen, the interesting thing though here in Sicily, there's a place that we go to in Raitana. It's like 15 pages of all types of pizzas, right?
60 different pizzas there.
I mean,
them. 60.
everything. They even
Crazy.
put rucola lettuce on there, right? They even put some people even put fish on there. But you're right, the simplicity at its best. The margarita
and the bread. We didn't even talk about bread. How can you come to Sicily and not talk about the bread?
Bread and your dip with the olive
well,
oil,
the
salt,
bread,
pepper, and
over
oregano.
here they sell the bread by the kilo. So when you go to the panificio, that's a bread maker, and you buy bread, they weigh it. That's the fairest way, because there's nothing as irritating as going to the market in the States, buying a loaf of bread, taking it home. There's all these big blowholes in it, the air holes. Okay, here is a much fairer way. See, the price of wheat is suppressed, is lowered, because poor people, and there happens to be a lot of them, they depend on pasta. They depend on pane. They depend on un po' olio. They depend on un po' vino. Arancini. The stuff over here is low cost.
Yeah.
But wheat, durum semolina wheat here, okay, is really the staff of life in Sicily.
The Swadler said, do you make scacciata? You won't believe this, but yeah, we did an entire episode on how to make scacciata. Angela's mom makes his mom's potatoes, olives, sausage, oregano, and rapini and other seasonal greens. Yeah. Want to talk about scacciata? I had to learn how to make a scacciata, because we were on lockdown and a lot of these places couldn't make them and couldn't sell them. So I learned how to make them, but I used the recipe of one of the people that we did a cooking demo on scacciata.
One of the most important questions that I ask Esther once a week. Esther, how many pieces of scacciata are in the freezer? And if she says one,
it's an emergency.
I begin to have an anxiety attack, because there's nothing like it's a quick meal. Frozen scacciata that we buy fresh, by the way, but we freeze it. Throw it in the toaster oven for 10 minutes, make an orange and onion salad, and bang, you have a good meal, a good quick meal.
Have you seen the wood fire pizza oven kits at Leroy Merlin? I watched some guys set up on the beach. No.
And Johnny? That's a great place.
Joya, are you still on lockdown? We're on mini lockdown. We're in orange right now.
Yeah.
We were in red for a while, and now the entire country of Italy is going to be changing after the weekend, and we're going to stay in orange. But the numbers have been improving. And if you want more information on the situation daily, I post on our Facebook page called You, Me, and Sicily News and Updates. And if you're new around here, by the way, make sure you check out our other Facebook page, You, Me, and Sicily. Now, I want to just make an announcement. If you guys want your questions answered a little bit faster, just pop a super chat for any amount, and it also helps us with this channel. But whatever subject that you want to talk about, also leave it in the comments. And every week, Alfred and I come to you talking about different topics.
Esther spends hours every day, putting together facts and figures on her News from Sicily and Italy page, okay? For you people, okay? She doesn't get paid for that. So there's a GoFundMe over there. Now, my pal Charlie Giannetto is a regular godsend who always donates money to the GoFundMe, etc. And today he made a nice donation, so Esther can eat now for a couple more days. However, it would be nice if you have never contributed to us. We don't take a pay, obviously. We're not. How can someone pay us, right? But we have a lot of expenses just to keep the programming going. Don't forget, we have our videos. We do our over-the-road expenses. We have our news thing, okay, that she does nightly. Yeah. And now we're doing this once a week, which, by the way, our viewership has doubled in the last 4 weeks. It's bizarre.
I love it. Yeah. If you guys love this video, also make sure you share it. Christine of the Olive Tree Memorial says, Castagni, chestnuts. Yeah, Alfred and I mentioned that. We love that guy. We love those guys that go on the street and roast chestnuts. All right, let's take a couple more.
If you look at Christine Leone's Olive Oil Memorial, we've been collaborating with her I've been collaborating with her for 20 years on a variety of things, but her and I and Esther, we offer memorial trees in Sicily. We have a great location in Mondadoro and another in Castellamare del Golfo. If you can scroll and look at Chris's website, it's a terrific website. They're good memorials, they're good presents for some form. And the tree lasts between 300 and 600 years, so no one's got to chop it down. All right, what else we have?
Jen Peterson, hi, Uncle Al, and the lovely, beautiful Esther. Ciao, Jen. Oh, nice to see you guys. I don't know what it was, but my grandma's meatballs, oh my God, best. I think it was the Sicilian meat, Pasquale. It's so good. You know what your brother was saying the other day on his show, the Sicilian Corner? He said he always makes his meatballs the day before, never eats it on the day he makes it. And that, he says, is the secret.
Well, there's a lot of secrets. Some people don't even, like my brother happens to brown them on the outside.
Yeah, he does.
Other people just make the meatballs and they put them right into the sauce, hoping that the fats from the meat as it's cooking taste it.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to do it. I mean,
so you guys, I'm going to leave links in the description of this video to all of the episodes that we talked about. But for now, thanks so much for watching. We have to go. We have things to do. This was fun.
Look at this.
This goes by fast.
I didn't even have a chance to drink my. Oh wait, this is the second glass. I forgot. I better shut up. But cognac is good for you. Drink your cognac. That's what I say. Chicha. Love you.
Ciao, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this episode of You, Me, and Sicily.
Ciao.
Ciao.